name is Elizabeth Alexander, and I'm sitting here with four Spelman alum who was active during the student movement 50 years ago. Can you state your name, please? Your names, please?
Gwendolyn Harris Middlebrooks.
Brenda Hill Cole.
Ernestine Walton Brazil.
Georgianne Thomas.
And I'm Picket Weaver.
Can you begin by telling us about the experience 50 years ago? What led you to activism? What were you doing? What were the times like? Anyone can start.
Well, I was a student at Spelman College, and Spelman College was a place that exposed me, because of the curriculum, to a lot of diversity. I lived in a community that was racially segregated, and I rode the bus 5 days a week to Spelman College, standing as white people sat. But at Spelman, that was my first opportunity to have white teachers, to interact with students of other races, including white students. And I think Spelman was a wonderful place for me because it exposed me to, I always say, not only what life could be, but what it should be all about. And so when the call came to participate in the event that could possibly change the fabric of Atlanta and the world, I was eager.
I was not in Atlanta. I came from a small town in Texas, and actually was born in an even smaller town. Experienced a number of racist actions, including one at my church where the sheriff came into the church and beat a man at the church. So when I came to Spelman, I had, even at 16, had experienced racism in its violent forms. And I always felt growing up that segregation was wrong, and we'd ask my parents, why can't we go to the park, or why can't we go here, there? And they would always say, that's the way it is, but you are as good as anyone else. And so when the movement began at the Atlanta University Center, I at first was very nervous about it because my parents were school teachers, and they made it clear that school teachers were losing their jobs, and if they lost their job, I'd have to go back to Texas, which I did not want to do. And so I was very concerned at first, but once I got that first march under my belt, I felt confident that I wasn't going to get killed. And so it was just a marvelous opportunity to say, this system is wrong, and try and do what one person could do, along with a group of others, to change that system.
I think I was born a natural rebel and activist, I'll say. So the thing that stood out for me at the park, the vibe economics. And I remember going town, and as we parked our car in the lot, the parking attendants who were white always referred to my father as boy. All right, boy, you come on back and get your car, boy. So it was out of that statement that I really found something welling up in me that said that something was definitely not right. On the picket line, which I joined many, many times, I did something that I don't know why I did it, but I did picket in front of Rich's department store downtown, and because my father had always told me, never cross a picket line, the blacks who actually walked in front of me and went in the store, I would roll my little sign up and give it to somebody, and I would go in the store after them and try to have a conversation about why they were in there, what had them come into Rich's when they had other options. And I would just engage them in the conversation. Hopefully some of those conversations worked, and they would never cross a picket line, and maybe some didn't. But it was my intent to spread this concept that if somebody is picketing a store, you use another alternative.
And my experience was just the opposite of my three Spelman sisters. My mother made a point of keeping us sheltered from the racism in the North. I was born and raised in Gayles, Indiana. Lived in a mixed neighborhood. Had gone to a predominantly white school. I had white experiences. We went to Chicago. I had a white experience. And so I thought all was well in America. I always went to the Columbus Day parades. I always put my hand over my heart. I sold shamrocks because I was president and future business leader of America at Craven High School. And only when I look back on it did I notice, did I figure out that I was in on the college prep plan because my mother had come to Spelman, my father had gone to Morehouse. That the college prep plan, all the teachers were white, so maybe that's why I had all white teachers, because they did the college prep plan. I was thinking, if I look back on it, it was right in my face, but I never saw it. I was so embarrassed when I got to Spelman and the song they played, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and I was a freshman. I was so glad to be in Atlanta. I'm going to back up on that in a minute. And everybody started singing this song, and I had no idea what they were singing, because my songs that I knew was Oklahoma. I knew every song, every part of Oklahoma. I knew how to square dance, and I knew O Sole Mia so well. And so when I stepped off the train downtown, I didn't know my mother had put me in the right car. I skipped all of that. Whatever that was, the car you had to be in when you came on the train, I was in it. I got off the train. My mother said, when you get, the sign says Atlanta, you get off the train, and there'll be a jitney there to pick you up, and you get in the jitney. I heard all of that, didn't mean anything until I got off that train, and I saw a sign that said colored and white. And that is when another Georgian came about, because I wanted to go in the white waiting room. And I started in there, and I think it was Celestine Gray or somebody was there to meet the freshmen, and she said, you can't do that. And from that point on, when they called and said, we need you to come in March, in October of '60, come in March, I was right there because I couldn't get a hot dog. I had to go to a back door, and all the things I had done in my white America had just disappeared, and I was a rebel from that point forward. And my mother, on the other hand, was so unhappy because she said, and may God rest her soul, she did not know that Dr. King was here. She said she would have kept me, I would have gone to Indiana University even, to keep me out of the South with Dr. King.
Okay. So what would you say was your most triumphant moment during the movement? Just 2 minutes.
Briefly, yes.
Yes.
What was the triumphant moment of the movement for each of you? And I know we don't have much time.
To me, it was after we were arrested at the state capitol for the sit-in. We got in the police car. I was in the police car with Otis Moss, and they were circling the block trying to decide what to do with us because we could hear them talking. We knew people were sitting in all over around Atlanta, of course. And the white police officers were talking, and Otis reached in his pocket, took out a Bible, and started reading the 23rd Psalm. And the police officers stopped talking.
That's
I thought that was
powerful.
wonderful.
That's powerful. Your most triumphant
I
moment?
think when the student leaders had met with the power structure, there was a committee to try and work out a settlement to get the students out of jail. And then it was announced that our picketing and sitting in and being jailed was resulted in that settlement, that they were going to open the doors of riches, and so that was the triumph.
That is triumph.
Even though I was never arrested, I did come very close, and it was only, I think my father was a minister, must have prayed me out of this situation because the paddy wagons came when we were picketing Brady, and they ran out before they got to me.